This is Luis Souza from rawveganpower.com, and I'm here today with a very talented guest, Lauren Amerson from laurenamerson.com. She's a raw vegan chef and artist. Welcome, Lauren. It's so nice to have you here today.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, and I was going through all your work and videos, and you have such a great story. But I didn't find your beginning. I mean, I'd like to hear from you, as I have this opportunity. How did you start being a raw vegan, and how did this happen to you?
Well, I was actually in Wisconsin for a couple months in the winter a couple years ago, and we picked up a book, and it was about raw vegan diet, and it was called 12 Steps to Raw by Victoria Butenko. And I read it, and I was already vegetarian. I had been vegetarian for several years, and I felt really good about it. I've always been into health and diet and just fitness, trying to feel good. And I have a background in dance and yoga, so I've definitely been like conscious and aware of things related to the physical body and even other realms too, energetic. And I knew how diet affected that. And so everything I read in the book just made sense to me. So I pretty much immediately went vegan after reading the book. And then a couple months later, I moved to Seattle. And I had this amazing opportunity to have the kitchen totally to myself. I didn't have social obligations. I didn't have a lot of the challenges that a lot of people have when they're in their regular routine in life and then trying to make a change. Everything was changing for me. So it was really easy to go raw. And it kind of just happened. I remember the last cooked meal I had. It was a Thai meal, and it was just a bunch of rice and a bunch of steamed veggies, and it just was so heavy. And I remember the feeling and experiencing the contrast of having been eating a lot of raw and then eating that last cooked meal, and I was just like, oh. And something clicked for me, and I just never ate anything cooked after that. And I've always known how to make food, so it was really easy for me to figure out new recipes, and it's easy to find stuff online. I just started trying new stuff, and then I started coming up with my own thing and developed my own style and my own preferences, and I just kept experimenting, and I dove right in. I had the opportunity to not have to work full-time also at the same time, so I basically like immersed myself in raw food, and it just became a really easy transition for me.
And this happened in 2010, or am I wrong?
What's that?
It was 2010?
Let me think. I think it was actually 2000. It was like March 2011, actually. I think of it as 2010, but it was March 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been 2 years, a little over 2 years since I've been 100% raw.
And in 2012, I was going through your videos. You had this weekly food challenge, right? How did that go? Tell me something, because I was wondering, because you were inviting people to join you in each challenge, right? And how did that go?
It was awesome. I didn't have that many YouTube subscribers at the time, but I just wanted to share, and for me it was really easy to make changes in my life, but I know for a lot of people it's not, and it can feel overwhelming. And I had spoken to a couple people just in taking classes or workshops or just out and about, people that felt overwhelmed by making changes that seem big, but if you break them up into little baby steps, into little incremental things that you can do easily, with no stress, it doesn't feel like this huge pressure of, oh, I have to have this big thing change in my life, then it can be easy. And so I just wanted to offer something, and for myself too, because it was fun, to offer just little things that people could try. It was more of like an experiment, a motivation of some sort to do something weekly, and having the actual like consistency of a new video every week was motivating to to actually be accountable almost. And it was nice because it also provided a platform for people to comment or to share of, oh, this is what I did and it was really awesome, or this is what I did and I had trouble with it and what do you think? Or, you know, so it was like a nice platform for people wanting to make changes, doing small little things that made a big difference in the long run, and then actually being able to interact with them and get feedback and, you know, feel excited about the little things that were changing or what they were discovering, learning how to sprout, learning how to make a raw salad dressing, or going from vegetarian to vegan. And it wasn't just limited to raw vegan. It was any diet, any kind of change you want to make in your life. I tried to make it like really broad and big so that anybody could take the challenge and do it and feel excited and motivated and empowered, basically.
Yeah, I realized that they were like baby steps, right? Each week. But you went through a huge step. I would say that's a huge step to make a juice cleanse, right? And you did one last year, and I think today, the day of it's the last day of 7 days juice cleanse, right? This year, right?
Yeah,
How
I
are you
started.
feeling?
I feel great, actually. I'm supposed to be breaking the fast today. I decided to just do a week-long cleanse every year, just to do it annually. And I was supposed to be breaking the fast today, and I just really woke up and wanted juice, so I'm still on juice. I feel great, and I think there's some kind of like there's like a hump that you get over, I think, when you're juice fasting, where you actually want the juice and you don't feel that craving for the other stuff. And today was that first day that I've really woken up and just craved the juice. And every juice fast has been different. And this particular juice fast, I've been craving citrus and coconut water. So
Oh,
that's I've been drinking almost exclusively citrus drinks and coconut water, and I've been diluting my citrus juices with spring water that I get locally from Red Rock Spring. And it's been amazing, and it's totally different than any other juice fast I've ever done. But I feel great. It must just be what my body wanted or needed or something, but I feel amazing.
and one thing that I realized that you do, but I think usually people don't do, is that you are very creative, and you have each day is different, right? You don't repeat the juices, right?
Yeah,
It's so fantastic.
yeah, I try to be creative. Actually, I don't really try. It just happens naturally. I have a lot of creative energy, and I get bored easily, I think, because I have so much creative energy, and I like to play with whatever I'm doing, and that's why I think raw vegan food is so fun for me, because there's so much room to play in that. And even juice fasting can be a creative outlet. And so, yeah, I like playing around with even getting like oranges from different sources, or adding in apple cider vinegar, or playing with like kombucha, like some other kind of liquid that I add to it, or making some kind of fun art out of it. And I love the color, and it's very fun, and so I like to be able to do that. Instead of making it feel like, oh, I'm doing without something, I like to take advantage of the opportunity to work with restrictions or work with limitations, and then you realize you're really not limited in any way. It's just a new way to play with something.
And what would be the main benefits of a juice cleanse?
Well, for me, this time I'm definitely doing it for physical cleansing. Because I was working on the raw chocolate recipe book. I was working on the
Right.
recipes like really intensely for a couple months, and I was eating a lot of chocolate because I was doing a lot of taste testing. and and the chocolate was there. It was in my house, and I was eating a lot of it, and so I was just overdoing a little bit. And I tend to eat emotionally too. So if I'm stressed, or if I'm like trying to make a lot of decisions, or I'm trying to procrastinate, then I'll go eat a snack or something. And so I had gained a couple pounds that I didn't really care for. So I've lost 5 pounds, or 6 pounds actually, in 7 days, and I feel good. So that's definitely a benefit of juice fasting. And also, you give your digestive system a really much needed vacation. It's awesome. You go from anabolic mode to catabolic mode after 3 or 4 days. And your digestive system has to do very, very little. And so once that aspect of your body gets to sort of shut down for a little while, it gets to rest, and your body goes into cleansing mode. It gets to purge the liver of its toxins. It gets to do all these things that it doesn't get to do when you're doing your regular daily life and you're eating and you're always having this input. It gets to finally process and release in a whole different way. And you get colon cleansing, and you get a new perspective of what life is when it's not revolving around food. And that's always interesting. And I love food. I'm totally a food advocate. I promote and encourage people to grow their own food, to make their own food, to get their hands in it, to be involved in it, and to see the value in all of that. But it's nice to have a new experience around food and what life is like when your day isn't broken up by 3 meals or by snacks or however you break your day up regarding food. So it's always awesome for perspective. And my skin has improved for sure.
That's it. You can see this.
Yeah, somebody actually made a comment like on the third day, I think.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and they're like, "Wow, your skin looks great." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, awesome." And I've noticed now that I'm like paying attention, I have noticed my skin definitely it's just more clear, I think. Not that I have skin issues regularly, but it's definitely more clear and kind of bright. And my eyes, actually, like the whites in my eyes are more clear. Like I feel like my eyes are brighter. And yeah, I physically feel lighter. I feel empowered too, because I know that I don't have, like, food is not ruling me, you know? It's almost like I know that I have either the willpower or whatever it is that allows us to do without something that we are really attached to. And I'm totally attached to food. Like I love it for so many reasons. But it's nice to have that experience. Like it's confirmation of like, I know I have the ability to be happy and to be content and to be whole as a person without this thing that I kind of cling to and normally, you know.
And your love for food began with your family, right? I saw this video in which you explained that I don't remember so well, but you were telling that you get together to prepare the food. It's a thing in your family. And
Yeah.
did they change their diet too because of you?
Actually, not really. I've always been kind of like the black sheep, I think, of the family. And you know, I have 2 sisters, and they're both cool and creative in their own unique way. So we all kind of have that edge to us, like we're all doing our own thing. But I was always the one that was kind of like going to the extreme with like what I was really passionate about. And I grew up in a home where my mom and my dad both cooked. They both were really intuitive and creative in the kitchen. They could like look in the fridge and just figure out how to make something with what was already there. They didn't have to go shopping all the time and look at a recipe from a recipe book to be able to make something. So they were really empowered around food. And so I felt really empowered around food too. Like we grew up cooking from a very young age. We experimented. We were allowed the space to play around in the kitchen. We would make stuff together as a family. We would, like, it was almost like an event. Like on the holidays, we got together and we made the little sugar cookies and decorated them. And so I feel like it allowed us a freedom around choice about food. We weren't stuck in any particular like family line of these are the recipes that you carry on and you must be representing, you know, your family or something like that with food. And we all have our own ways of, you know, we all have our own relationships with food. And so I was really into like health and fitness and physical beauty and all that. And so I went the vegetarian route, you know, that was like the clearest route for me. And I just kept going in that way. Now my mom and my sisters definitely love the chocolate that I make. They ask for it.
I can imagine. I think I love it, but I didn't taste it yet, right?
Yeah, so they're into the chocolate for sure, and they really like the kale chips. I usually bring some kind of like dehydrated raw vegan stuff when I go and visit for holidays. They're in Florida, actually, so it's quite a bit of a travel
The
across the country.
other side of the US, you are in San
Yeah,
Francisco.
yeah, totally. So, so they really like the kale chips, and like I make granola and stuff like that. So they like the dehydrated stuff. They definitely get into it, but I think I'm affecting their diets in the sense of they're more conscious. Like they'll call me and ask questions, like how can I incorporate this, or how can I incorporate that, or what would you recommend, or can you eat this raw, or can you eat that raw, stuff like that. So I think I'm affecting them, but they haven't necessarily like gone raw or vegetarian or anything like that.
And talking about your book, well, I'm expecting it, and I know that many people are expecting it to tell us something, please. what what are we going to find in your book that I know it's amazing, and tell us something about that, please.
Yeah, I'm excited about the book too. This is my first recipe book, and this was another thing that happened out of a move. I was moving from Seattle to San Francisco, and I got here and I was kind of like turning over a new leaf, and I asked myself what project I wanted to pursue given the studying I'd done, given the couple years I've been into the raw vegan stuff and just everything I've been getting into, and where I wanted to go with that, with my knowledge, with my recipes. And what I feel compelled to do is I want to share. And most of all, I want to like physically make food and share it with people. But I thought that doing a recipe book was a great first step. And it was the project that kept coming into my head every time I asked that question to myself, like, what's the next project? And it was always like, recipe book, recipe book. And then I originally was going to do ice cream because I have this great method. It's super easy and really fun way of making like ice creams and sorbets, raw vegan, of course, and you can add superfoods and herbs. And I actually started working on it a little bit, and I pursued a photographer, and I took steps to work on it, but something about it didn't feel right. And so I then started thinking about maybe I'll just do a generalized like day in the life, meals for the whole day kind of book, vegan recipes, and that felt better, but it didn't feel perfect. And then I thought chocolate. And that felt perfect, and I can't explain why, because like I know so many people that are doing raw chocolate right now. I know there's already like a couple raw chocolate books out there, but it was the thing that resonated with me like on some core like inner place, and I still can't explain why but it felt right, and all the other things didn't. And so I pursued this chocolate book, and I started just taking the steps that I needed to decide how many recipes I wanted to do. And then I decided I needed to crowdsource funding to actually be able to buy all the ingredients to do the recipe creations and perfect them, and the time that it takes to do that, and the equipment and all of that. And so I did the Kickstarter project, and I got fully funded. I actually got funded past my goal, which was awesome. And I just started making recipes, and I have a lot of recipes already, but I tend not to measure when I make stuff. So I
That's
had to
good.
make all these recipes and actually like start measuring. So
Yeah, the problem is measuring, right? Because
yeah,
when you are creative, you pick something from the fridge or something you have at home, and you just do it. But
yes,
if you don't
exactly.
take notes, it can be a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, so I did learn something from that. Every time I make a recipe now, I write down at least the ingredients that I use and generally how much of each, so that I don't have to go back someday and try to figure out what I did. But so in the chocolate recipe book, I have these great recipes that are 3-layered chocolate bars, and they're like little square molds. And so there's a chocolate layer, and then some kind of like superfood, like fudgy consistency layer, and then another chocolate layer. And they're like really colorful, and I love them so much. And then there's molded chocolates, different flavors, superfoods in them. There's chlorella, there's turmeric in there. There's one that has cayenne and cinnamon and carob. And there's one that has this great herbal blend called Longevity in a Bottle, and it's amazing. And it's got like medicinal mushrooms in it, and tons of herbs, and it's just the best thing ever. And so you get in all this stuff into your body with chocolate as a delivery system, and you don't even taste it. It's just the
Can
best
you
thing
see the water in my mouth?
ever. Yeah.
I'm feeling the water coming in my mouth while we're speaking.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, sure.
And
And,
then,
and
so
you are
there's also,
putting superfoods in the chocolate as well. That's great.
yeah, and so my intention with it, I'm trying to offer like a wide variety. I have different section. There's like ice cream section. There's like a smoothie kind of milkshake section, and then there's a couple drink section. Like there's like a chocolate milk, like a basic chocolate milk with some maca in it. And there's also a foundation section where I teach you how to make your own nut butter and nut milks so that you can use homemade ingredients in these recipes. And then there's these dessert balls that are so amazing. And my my intention with the book is not only to give my recipes, because everybody has their own unique take, their own unique twist on chocolate or whatever, and we get to share that. And it's awesome that I get to share that, but I also get to share something that may inspire somebody to make their own version of that. That where they might be like playing with something, they're like, oh my gosh, I should totally add in, lucuma to this, or I should add in shilajit to this, or like they can play around with it. And I hope that it inspires people to feel empowered and to do their own experiments and to customize the food so that it makes it ideal for them, and to encourage them to be intuitive. And even just the experience of making a recipe that has this really interesting synergy of ingredients, you get a sense of what that feels like. You get in the actual physical experience and the energetic experience and the emotional experience and this holistic experience of making something you've never made before.
I
That's
see.
totally, that maybe nobody else on the planet has ever made before except me.
That's
But
very
that's
cool.
okay. You don't have to be tied into traditional recipes or the norm or whatever. Like, you can play around. So I hope it encourages people to play around and expand their options.
Fantastic. I'm wondering now what's happening to your diet when you are not making a raw chocolate book, recipe book, and
Yeah.
you are not fasting with just cleanse. What do you intend to do with your diet?
I
I
go through,
mean, from tomorrow, right? Starting tomorrow.
yeah, I go through
What,
phases.
because my question is because you said that eating too much chocolate wouldn't be an option, right? You would eat chocolate, but what would you do?
Oh, yeah. I definitely eat chocolate normally.
But every
um,
day, how many times a day?
um, I guess I go through phases. I definitely eat different depending on the season. So I think in the summer, when it's like nice and warm and I tend to be outside more and I feel grounded already and I feel the energy of nature and all that stuff, I think I tend to eat less chocolate because I'm getting the things that I get from chocolate from my environment more
Right.
so. And then in the winter, I feel like I need to be more grounded, and it's nourishing in a different way. And so for me, I feel like chocolate affects me um, probably different than it affects other people. It probably affects everybody differently. But I definitely eat more chocolate more in the winter and the fall months, and even the spring, I would say, because it's still pretty cool here in San Francisco in the spring compared to what I'm used to, like Florida.
I see.
Um, so I guess I eat chocolate pretty regularly. I don't. It's not like a regimen. Like, I don't eat it medicinally. Like, I must eat it every day. But probably 5 days a week when I'm eating it regularly. I would say 5 days a week is normal for me. And I have a new perspective on chocolate after working with it so much, and I'm approaching it a little bit differently now. I'm approaching it more as an herb rather than like a bulk food. And so I think after I'm done with the fast and I get back to the point where I'm eating chocolate, I'll be eating it in smaller doses, I think, for sure. and having like more respect or more like reverence around it, and seeing it as being more of like a medicine. Like it's very potent, and I'm finding that the more that I work with it, like this is a naturally bitter food, and in nature, bitter foods keep you from overeating them. And when we add sugar and salt, we can override that bitterness, that factor that would like naturally keep us in check. And so I'm coming back to this place of how would I be able to eat this naturally to where it would be medicinal and not abusing it, not abusing it like we can abuse anything else. So definitely chocolate. And then I tend to do fruit in the morning. In the summer, I eat a lot more fruit. It's available. There's tons of farmers markets here. I do a lot of watermelon in the summer, a lot of cantaloupe and oranges. So fruit in the morning usually for breakfast. And then at lunch, I usually do salad or soup. And that's usually what I do for dinner too. And sometimes at night, I'll do like a dessert smoothie, like a milkshake kind of thing with herbs and superfoods in it. And maybe some chocolate. So I usually do chocolate later in the day, and it doesn't stimulate me like it stimulates some people. I don't have a problem going to sleep. So it's more of like a dessert thing for me. But soups and salads are what I stick to, and I play around with some dehydrated stuff sometimes. I usually go through phases with that.
It's good
like
to hear from you. You have so many options.
Oh my
Usually,
gosh, there's so
usually
many.
people don't have so many options, right?
Yeah, there's so many options, definitely.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, you are a raw vegan chef. You have all this knowledge and you are sharing it. But I know that you are also an artist. And I think you should talk about this. I would love if you do that. And while you do that, I'm going to show your blog and your art as well. Okay?
Thank you.
I'm gonna share here my other
Yeah,
screen. And here we are in your blog, in
great.
your,
Yay.
it's a blog, right? Yeah, it's a blog. It's a blog.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I have.
well, you talk, please.
Okay. Um, yeah, I'm a self-taught artist. I've never taken an art class in my life, actually. Um, and I didn't particularly like art in elementary school. Like we had it every now and then, and it didn't really stand out to me. But I started drawing originally because I had sort of an obsession with horses when I was very little, and I started
Really?
horseback riding when I was 6 years old. And the first time I saw a horse, I remember that moment. We were driving in the car somewhere in Florida, like sort of into this like small town, and there was a field to the right, and there were these horses like playing around, and they reared up, and they were just the epitome of what you see like on a poster or something, where it's just this magnificent creature, and it blew my mind. It just totally overwhelmed me, and I wanted to capture that beauty, the essence of what I felt when I saw the horse, and I wanted to put it down on paper. I wanted to express the feeling that I got by actually recapturing it. And so I started out drawing horses, and I would doodle in school all the time. I would not pay attention in class, and I would doodle
That's cool.
and I would draw these horses, and then I got into drawing the human body, like human figure, basically. And I did that because I was into clothing design. I went through this phase where I wanted to design clothes, and I was probably in middle school or something, and I would like stay up late at night in my room and just draw all these cool outfits. And for a while, I was only drawing the body.
And you have
And
this thanks too, right?
yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah, I designed the dream catcher myself, and I love dream catchers too. And I make dream catchers, actually. That's another one of my little crafts that I
Oh, you
do.
make them.
Yeah, I love making
That's
dream
cool.
catchers. I have a necklace, a dream catcher necklace that I've been wearing for a while.
And I loved your pictures of your food as well.
Yeah, I have lots of pictures on there.
Yeah, I was watching them. It's fantastic. They are so yummy. So
Yeah.
we have. Well, I was hungry after looking at this. You know, with water in my mouth as well. Well, and you have also, well, this fantastic YouTube channel with lots of videos.
Yeah.
Actually, you have two channels, right? This is Check
Yeah.
Goddess,
Hmm.
and I'd love to hear from you the name about this name, right? Check the Goddess.
Yeah. Shakti goddess.
Why did you choose this name? I think no one, I didn't know, you know, I think I
Yeah.
know now, but I'd like to hear from you.
Yeah. So I created that username before I decided to have an actual channel with my own videos. It was just the username that I created when I joined YouTube. And I joined YouTube when I went raw vegan because I started watching all these videos. And so I wanted to favorite a lot of the videos and keep track of them so I could go back to them later. So I created an account, and at the time, I had been a yoga teacher for a year, and I had studied Hinduism just on my own on the side. And so Shakti is a yogic term, or the Indian term for goddess or creative energy or feminine energy, and it represents that ultimate creative force basically, which is embodied by the female or the goddess. And so goddess is sort of the Western term for that energy, and Shakti is the Eastern term for that energy. And I just really liked the word Shakti itself. It has so much, it has power, you know, it has an edge to it, Shakti.
Right.
And and so I just put the two words together, and I really liked it, and I didn't really like think of it in terms of like I was calling myself Shakti goddess or anything.
I see.
I liked the combo of words, and then after a while I thought of it in terms of like it's sort of an affirmation. Like you state, like the more you say Shakti goddess,
I see.
you're embodying that energy. You're actually making that energy real. And so I like the idea of having that be almost like
And tell me, how did you meet Hugh Jackman?
Hugh Jackman. Oh, that's my friend. Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
friend
but
Dave.
I saw this picture today, and well, she met Hugh Jackman. He seems to be Hugh Jackman. I felt that way, you know.
He's actually that's my friend David Whipple, and he lives in Sedona, and he's amazing. I met him actually for the first time accidentally, getting spring water at the spring outside of San Francisco. It was just one of those synchronistic events, and he's really great. He's into a lot of the stuff I'm into for sure.
And here it's your other channel, right? Laura
Yeah,
Amerson. And
yeah,
here you share different stuff. It's not the same stuff, right?
yeah. It's pretty different.
One thing that amazed me was this video here, well, both of them, in which you
Uh-huh.
show how flexible you are. It's fantastic. It's great. I was
Yeah.
wondering if I would ever be able to do these things.
Well, actually, speaking of flexibility, that's another benefit of juice fasting.
Oh, really? You feel more flexible after every juice fasting you do?
Yeah, definitely. It's been consistently something I've experienced. After about 3 or 4 days, I'll do yoga and I'll notice a difference, like a noticeable, definitely difference. And I feel like it's more in the joints, not so much in the muscles necessarily. I danced when I was young, and then I did yoga, so I'm like in general pretty flexible. But when I feel stiff or when I feel limited in yoga, when I feel kind of like achy or something, it's in the joint. It's not necessarily in the muscle. And so the difference that I feel is that there's a smoothness in my joints. It's almost like when you juice fast, it clears out any kind of buildup, right? Like any kind of acidity, any kind of like calcium buildup, any like mineralization buildup in your joints. It allows that to move out. It allows you to cleanse that out. And because your body's getting rid of whatever it doesn't need, it has the
Right.
ability do that. And so it's freeing up space and everything becomes way more fluid, and it's definitely beneficial. Even just being on a raw vegan diet helps with flexibility because you typically become more alkaline.
And did you learn yoga by yourself?
I started off taking
That's
some free
fantastic.
classes, and then I did it a little bit on my own because it's very much like dancing. And if you have body awareness, then it's easy to know when you're, you know, in a right alignment. And most of the trickiness around yoga when you're learning is finding the right alignment. And so if you have body awareness already, that comes very easily. So I did a little bit on my own. I took some free classes, and then I was working as a massage therapist in a group practice at the time, and one of my fellow massage therapists was a yoga teacher. So we exchanged private yoga classes for a massage. And so I would do that like once a
Oh,
week with her. Yeah, so I took some private classes, and that was amazing because I got all this personal attention, and it just helped me excel really quickly. And then she told me one day, she said, "You're really good at this. You should just be a teacher." So I went from a couple months of doing yoga. It was probably 6 months of doing yoga with her and private classes every now and then, to
being a
going
teacher.
for training, basically. So
Fantastic. Usually people take years to be a teacher in yoga.
yeah,
Pretty
well, and
amazing.
it's interesting because there's a lot of there's different styles of yoga, and the style of yoga that I was trained in allows you to be exactly where you're at. You don't have to be a master in the physical sense of the postures, and so which really embodies yoga. I think the idea of yoga. And in the sense of like it's connected, it's union, it's a mental, physical, spiritual, holistic experience. It's not a gymnastics competition, you know. And so that was the training that I had anyway, and that's what I feel in my bones. I feel like it's a slow motion dance for me, and so you can do that no matter where you're at physically. You don't have to be perfect at something. You don't have to be the most advanced yogi to be a teacher. You can
Right.
share what you know and what you experience, and you can share guidance as a teacher and not have to be the ultimate version of that if there is such a thing. And
And
so,
the goal would be self-knowledge, uh, right?
yeah, definitely. It's more about being in your own experience rather than looking at somebody and idolizing them as a teacher. Yoga, and especially if your teacher isn't like this perfect gymnast, you know, like version of a yogi, then it allows you to be in your own experience more. It allows you to be in your own body. It allows you to become your own version of yoga. Yeah.
And did you start with yoga before or after being a raw vegan?
Yoga was first. I was still in Florida, and I went to teacher training, and then I moved to Jacksonville Beach area in Florida and taught yoga for a year. And then from
I see.
there, I moved. I spent the winter in Wisconsin, and then went to Seattle. And
And did you feel that being a raw vegan helped in this self-knowledge journey that you go with yoga?
oh yeah, definitely, it's all intertwined for sure. And I felt that when it comes food, it's the same with food. It's a metaphor for anything in your life. You have to allow yourself to be in the moment. You have to allow yourself to be in where you're at, and every day is different. And so your journey is about letting every day be different, letting every moment be different, and being okay with that, right? It's so you can take that with yoga. Like I went through phases with yoga where I didn't want to do yoga, and I didn't do yoga for months sometimes. And there was like a voice in my head saying you should do yoga, or even a voice in my head saying you should be doing it this intensely, or you should be doing it for this long a period of time, or you should be doing it this frequently. Like there's a lot of judgment around that, and so it's all this should. And so having even that experience allows you to like get over that. It allows you to say, there is no should, I am. And once you relax, once you become at peace with where you're at, it's interesting because then you want to do yoga. Everything flows, when you're not trying to control everything and you just let it flow, then it flows easily. And the big picture is that whatever needs to happen, whatever is holistically balancing for everything, is what happens, and that's what you're compelled to do. And so once I allowed myself to just not do yoga for a couple months, I really wanted to do yoga, and I feel great. And I do yoga 5 days a week now for about 45 minutes. And
Well, you have a lot of experience. You are teaching yoga, you are a raw food chef, but you look so young that I need to ask your age because it's something that we need to know. It's incredible all the stuff you are doing, and with 20 years old or 18 or I don't know, you look so young.
I'm 27 this year.
27.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. You are very active, and anyway, you are young. 27 is young, but you look much younger. Fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm really impressed by that. Well, Lauren, now I have my last question to you. It's a huge question, but with a small answer, okay?
Okay.
In one sentence, comparing the person you were before raw vegan, and the person you are now, okay? What is your raw vegan power?
That is a big question. Hmm. That's hard.
Well, I will help you then. For many people, I think people like you, are like superheroes. Superman can fly, right? And Spider-Man does all the stuff he does. Wonder Woman does what she does, and so on. Then, what is your power? Lauren Amerson power.
My power is that I give myself and others permission to live authentically.
Oh, great. Great. I love that. And you did a short sentence. Great. Thank you. Many times I'm hearing, I ask this to all my guests, but sometimes the answer is so long. I think it's maybe 10 sentences.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lauren. It was
Yeah.
a great pleasure to have you here today, and we are meeting each other today. I hope we can do it more often, and I'd love to make another interview when you launch your book. This would be really fantastic because we need to spread this message. I
Yeah.
would like to do that if you like.
Sure.
And thank you so much, Lauren. And
Thank
you who are watching, go now to laurenamerson.com and see all the great stuff Lauren Amerson has to offer you. You can find her in YouTube too, okay? And go there now. Bye-bye. Bye, Lauren. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.